Audience, fabulous Friday. Oh my gosh, is it cold outside?
Yeah, that's what I hear. I hear there's a polar vortex dipping down into the northern part of Oregon, which apparently I will be escaping because the last weather report I saw for my area is that
Mhm.
it will be 50 on Monday, which it's been in the 30s, high in the 30s, pretty much. Well, maybe low 40s too, pretty much all week. So we've been having the threat of snowpocalypse down here in the very southwest corner of Oregon for a week, but we had a I think we had a dusting one morning, and that's about it.
Well, I woke up this morning to 4 inches, got another inch, and it was 7 degrees when I woke up. It's right now
Wow,
7 degrees, and we're
that's
supposed to
cold.
be -4 tonight.
Ooh, ooh,
Yeah,
that's
so
cold.
we are in it, and we won't see 30 degrees until Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're going to be really cold over here. And the crazy part is, David, we had two hummingbirds show up today.
Oh,
And I've seen them periodically, and I thought, well, I'm going to keep the feeder out, make sure it's fresh food. And sure enough, and I had the light on it, although it was frozen solid this morning because I had it out yesterday, and I put another one out, and we've had to change it every couple hours. And I have a male
yeah.
and a female hummingbird,
Wow.
and poor things are a shiver in there and enjoying the little heat, that they're getting from a 100-watt light bulb. So
Right.
yeah, I think it's crazy that they're here though.
Yeah, yeah. I remember last year. Yeah, it was last year. This is 2024. Last year we had a lot of snow. And we had most of it in the early spring, and it stayed for a long time. And the little birds, not just the hummingbirds. I have hummingbird feeders, and I don't really see them a lot around the feeders. Every once in a while, one will fly by me. For some reason, they come up and they look at me. I don't know if they think I'm a flower, but they come up and they look at me and then they go away. But the little birds were, I could tell they couldn't find anything to eat,
Yeah.
and I found a 50-pound bag of wild bird food that I didn't know we had, that we had, I don't know, inherited or purchased or something for quail. And I started feeding them that, and they were very, very appreciative and very happy.
Well, in fact, we're feeding the little birds too, and we've got juncos and some English sparrows and wrens, little house wrens. I filled that little feeder. We only have one, and I filled that twice today. And it's almost empty. So I'll fill it up in the morning. They've all had their dinner and gone to bed now. So I pulled the
Right.
hummingbird feeder in and whatnot. But they can't find anything to eat. And in my snow removal, I made a little path for the dog, and I noticed they went right to the grass and were checking around in the grass, as well, since I got rid of some snow, so for my dog who's short can have a spot.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a question about from Nicholas. What do we think about Val Hoyle saying she's concerned about how the Biden administration is handling illegals? Well, yeah, it's
what,
what do you
what
say?
what's there to be concerned about, Val? About the way that the Biden administration is handling illegals? It seems to me they're handling them with kid gloves and rolling out the red carpet. As near as I can understand, they seem to be well fed, well clothed. They seem to have money, new shoes, and a cell phone.
And a
So
place to live.
yeah, what's the problem, Val?
But what the thing is no, this is an invasion of our country. Let's just
Yeah,
call it what it is. This is an invasion of our country.
yeah,
So that's what I say. And it is a crock, all right.
yeah.
I want
Well,
the border closed. And so, speaking of that, there's a great story today coming out of Texas, and I'm trying to find here it is. And so, Texas National Guard occupies a very popular immigration checkpoint and boots the Border Patrol right out of there. And I'll tell you, kudos to the governor of Texas for doing this because the state has the right. If the federal government, that's their primary job, is securing the borders and keeping our nation safe, and they're not doing it, they have the right to take care of the state, and I'm very, very happy that they're doing that.
Yeah. Well, it's clear that the federal government is not doing their job. Article 4, Section 4 clearly states that the federal government will protect the states from invasion, and they're not doing that, and we are, in fact, being invaded. As Tucker said it, I'm surprised that there isn't every able bodied American with a rifle on the border right now.
I
You know,
know it. Well, Texas might call up their militia, and they took over Eagle Pass. They said we're done, and I am so glad that they've done, because this invasion has got to stop.
Yeah, well, there seems to be no will anywhere. No will, obviously, in the Biden administration or
No.
the executive branch, and no will, strangely enough, in a House that has a slight Republican majority to do anything about it. So I guess we need to wait until we get a different president.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's sad to say, because we do have a very slim majority in the House, and and the border should be nonpartisan, shouldn't be political at all. And but it isn't, unfortunately. It is used politically, and it's awful. And it just shows how much the Democrats hate America as a sovereign nation, to close our borders. They just want the destruction.
Well, there's one way I think you could get Democrats to close the borders in a heartbeat, and that's if uh, the RNC and every state Republican Party and every county Republican Party sent people down there and started registering these people to vote.
Well, there's a thought.
They close that border in a heartbeat.
You might be right. You might be
Because
right, Dave.
that's exactly what they plan on doing. They plan on distributing these people into cities, which will allow them to fraudulently vote and stack the ballot box. I mean, that's one, as far as I can tell, that's one tier of the engineered invasion, the welcoming arms, all the NGOs that are funded by taxpayers, the church organizations. All these people are in cahoots to, change the voting demographic in United States of America. That's one tier of it, and I think the other tier, and I got to give Karen credit for this. She came up with the idea. She said, because we have, I think maybe we've talked about this before, but we have uh, these disturbances every election year,
Yes.
every leap year, which is a presidential year. We have these disturbances in major cities: BLM, Occupy, uh, so on and so forth. And she believes that it's quite possible they're being shipped around to these big cities to organize and create that for the 2024 election season. And then, of course, there's
Yeah.
always the other third tier, which is, the globalist agenda to destroy the American culture and destroy the country from within.
Well, definitely. In fact, I remember when you were on it, we talked about it on Captive Audience. You were on an airplane, and it was BLM people flying to DC. Either they were flying to DC,
Whole
or
airport,
here to Portland.
the whole
Yeah.
airport, the whole airport.
You know,
The whole
so
airport was people just, flying in, and they were staying. I was staying at it wasn't super nice hotel, but it was a pretty nice hotel. And that entire hotel was filled with BLM protesters.
yeah,
It
you
was, it
witnessed
was,
that firsthand,
it was,
and
it
that's
wasn't
against federal law.
it wasn't the Motel 6, and these people
Right.
were coming in, and dressed all nice in suits and stuff, and when they left the hotel, they're all wearing their BLM shirts, and sneakers and stuff. So it's a we all know that there's plenty of money. There's Soros money, Open Society money. There's
Yeah.
David Mercer money. There's all kinds of billionaire leftist money that actually Jeff Reynolds wrote a book about, floating around in America, just doing these kind of things. So so it just disrupts the whole thing, and it's after COVID in 2020, which I believe was the disruption for that election year. It's kind of I'm a little bit I have a little bit of trepidation about what's going to happen in 2024.
Well, I agree with you there. In fact, they're talking already about something that is deadly contagious. It's like 100% catastrophic, dead, fatal. But talking about what Fauci did for the 2020 election,
Jeez.
he,
That guy should be in jail, Sonny.
yes, he should be in jail. He absolutely should be in jail. And I just posted a little bit ago an article from PJ Media, the Fauci legacy, the collapse in faith in our health institutions. We've had a collapse in faith in a lot of things, but our health institutions, it really showed during COVID how much they were not there to care for the people. It was all political and an agenda. And yet he's just had 2 days of testimony, 14 hours of questioning, and most of the time he says, I can't recall, I don't know, I can't recall. Well, you know what, I personally believe he was lying. um but this article says two key takeaways from his history are his flip-flop on the lab leak theory, that he now claims it was not a conspiracy theory. Well, duh. And his admission that the social distancing guidance recommended by this not based on any data. Actually, we knew that very early on. They just came up with a number
Yeah. Yeah.
very early on. And
Yeah.
and he also said, you know what, we just gave guidance. It's not our fault what states or agencies did with it.
Yeah.
Just guidance.
Yeah. And that distancing thing, that really wreaked havoc in the Dutch Brothers line for coffee because people were parking their car, a car length from each other. Who, you know,
Right,
it was
right.
so stupid. I still see the lines on the floor of some stores and the one-way arrows. And I remember walking through Fred Meyer right at the top of it, and with no mask, of course. And I'd be in an aisle and somebody'd turn down the aisle and they'd see me and they'd turn back around and go down another aisle. And I loved it. I
Well,
just I
I
just
remember
loved it.
getting I remember getting nasty looks because I was not following the direction of the arrow down the aisle.
Yeah, that
I'm
too. Yeah,
sorry. I'm an independent thinker, and I'm gonna continue being that way. And
yeah.
I didn't pay attention to that stuff.
That same trip at Fred Meyer's, I remember seeing a younger woman, kind of earthy, hippie-ish maybe looking, and she wasn't wearing a mask. And I thought to myself, there is hope. There's hope
Right.
for America. And you know, she was not doing it. Is that a funny thing? Funny little side story is that very same Fred Meyers when toilet paper was, limited to one or two or whatever it was.
Scarce. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Karen and I go to the stand and we have twice, I have my limit, she has her limit. And this blue haired checker said, "Oh, you can't do that. You can only get so much." Like, like one of us wasn't a person.
Right. Right. There you go. Yeah.
Oh God,
You,
she was hot, and
oh,
finally she called over her manager. The manager said, "Just drop it. We're cool." God, she was
no
pissed.
kidding. No kidding.
You
That is
guys,
funny.
you guys are a couple, so you can only get half. you know, However you want to reason it out, it's pretty funny.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hey, listen, something that I want to bring everybody's attention to, a story that is out of red state. And it is, you don't own what you think you own. And this is in regards, this could be relatable to many things, but this particular article is in regards to the stock market. How it used to be, if you were to buy, let's say, 100 shares of Apple, you would get a paper certificate of what you owned. And these days now, you are issued, you are you're not receiving any paper. You just in this digital age, it's just basically it's just an agreement between you and your broker. And so it says that your purchase is simply an entry at your broker's computer, and you do not own what you think you own. And this is in today's enlightened digital age, because when you had that paper certificate, you had the paper certificate, right?
Right.
And under laws in all 50 states, what you actually own is a securities entitlement. This is a new form of property ownership that is more like a contract between you and your broker. But if the stock market collapses, and this is why I wanted to bring this up, I don't know, who in our audience might be in the stock market. But if the financial system were to totally collapse, think 2008 or much larger, nearly every stock and bond that is in electronic form can be legally taken as collateral by the largest too big to fail financial institutions. And sure, it would crush millions of individual investors, but it's all for a good cause, they say, saving the systemically important financial institutions.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can do it again.
Yeah. And,
You can rack up exposure to another estimated $200 trillion in derivatives.
But also, this will happen without your knowledge and without any action or fault on your part, even if you are entirely debt free. And this is a takings. If that sounds wrong, it is, but it's also legalized fraud.
Yeah.
And it says here, so how did we get here? And it talks about this story. Zero Hedge apparently posted an article, Intentional Destruction. And so it's, it is a takings, and it's something that I think everybody should be looking at in many forms, and think outside the box of that. Do you own the property that you think you own? No, your real property. Do you own the vehicle that you may or may not have a note on?
Well, you don't own your real property. We know that. If you don't pay the county rent, they take it away from you. I think the only thing you really own in this country anymore are those material things that you can defend. Do I own my cars? Yeah, I do own my cars. If you try to take my car, we're going to have a shootout, or something.
Well, I was having a conversation with someone who is with somebody, and they had said that they understand that even if you own your car outright, you actually don't own it, because where the dealership you bought it from is allowed to keep it on the books. And if they go down, they have a right to take that. I don't personally think that way, but it was interesting conversation about that. I know I own my vehicle outright. And so I don't know how somebody's going to try to come and confiscate my car.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've heard people talk about confiscating your digital assets and confiscating, all of your money and stuff. And, I'm kind of a firm believer in having enough physical money to defend it from confiscation, because if it's not in my control, if I can't see it or see where it's locked, then, yes, somebody could take it. But it's kind of interesting. I mean, you brought up a good point with the stocks. I mean, somewhere in the fine print is that it's explained somewhere in the fine print, right?
Right. It's going to be, if it's not paper.
Right. Right. So somewhere in the fine print, the terms of service were on your online brokerage account. There's this thing that says, you don't really own these if, blah, blah, blah. you're renting the ability to profit or lose from a difference in price, and you're renting the ability to receive the dividends or not receive the dividends. And if there's something like that with car titles, that would be kind of interesting. I mean, I have a whole folder full of car titles. Maybe I should read them.
Well, the thing is like you can go buy a car digitally these days. What's that ad you see on TV? I don't know, some car, right? Some company that you've not going in and signing paper documents. It's all done digitally. But let's talk about, you can buy gold that is digital. You're not buying physical gold,
Right.
but you can buy certificates of gold.
Or ETFs.
And that's all electronic. And maybe that also flies into this. So I would say read the article, do some investigation. Just wanted to bring a heads up because it's something that I wasn't aware of.
Me neither.
And I'm not in the stock market at all, but it's something to pay attention to. I think in so many assets, especially in this digital age, and they're wanting to go much more digital.
Well, a lot of people have their retirement in the stock market, so it's good.
Yeah.
Good info. Thanks for that.
You bet. Well, that's what I try to do is bring up things that maybe aren't on the radar there. Hey, something else that's not maybe on the radar, or this is out of Oregon Catalyst, and it says, call your lawmakers this week. And although it came out on Friday, so this week's over, but call them next week on Kotek's draft tax plan. And there are, you can guess, more taxes and more taxes and more taxes coming with this thing. And so Oregon Governor Tina Kotek's Housing Production Advisory Council has just submitted a 20-page draft report on ideas on how to address the affordable housing crisis. So on section 7, page 16 and 17, it lists 5 suggestions to raise new revenue. Of those 5, I'm going to tell you what they are. Income tax increase, property tax increase. How do you make housing affordable if you raise, 500 more million in higher property taxes? Right?
Yeah.
And on the income tax, Oregon is already rated the #1 tax state in America for effective tax rate on the middle class. Yeah. How high does it need to go?
Well, the top tax rate is 9.9 already, and we know that with the passage of 113 that makes universal health care an Oregon thing, and that's probably going to go up to 12-13%.
Yes. But they're trying to increase housing. This is from the Housing Production Advisory Council. Number 3 is a new retail.
Who the hell is on that thing?
Right?
A bunch of commies. The #1 thing on there should be make it cheaper and easier to build a house or an apartment complex.
Right.
Get rid of the LCDC, free up some land for multifamily and single family.
And also get rid of the rental laws, that they've got on the books right now that is hamstringing people wanting to actually own rental properties in the state of Oregon.
Right.
You can't kick a tenant out for non-payment. You have to pay them to move out, for crying out loud. So let's not go down that path. But number 3 is a new retail sales tax. Lawmakers already passed a hidden business sales in 2019, which was the largest tax in Oregon history. And, that's the gross receipts tax. Walmart, Target, and REI have closed stores in Oregon because of this. Number 4 is a new payroll tax. Lawmakers have already passed 2 different new payroll taxes in the last 6 years, and now they aim for a 3rd new payroll tax.
Yeah. Well, that's how you create jobs, right? Make it more expensive to employ people.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this, I think it was on Wednesday, with Dawn about how much it costs to have an employer for the employer per employee. It's a lot of money in the state of Oregon.
Yeah, it is.
And number 5 is double fuel tax. Gas taxes are for roads. They're not for building houses. And
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the state, the state is assuming the only way you can fix this is for them to get in the housing business, right? And for the state to be in the housing business, you're going to need to raise tens of billions of dollars, because each one of those houses is going to cost $1 million freaking dollars, right? That's how the state would build a house. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,600 square foot house would cost the state $1 million.
oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then to rent it to someone would cost the state probably $3,000 or $4,000 a month, in addition to the rent that is received. That's how the state works.
Yeah. This is so, there you are. Call your lawmakers. They just want more taxes. And the Housing Production Advisory Council.
Just get out of the way.
Yeah, the ideas on how to address affordable housing.
There are people who will build houses if you get the F out of the way, right?
Amen. Amen.
They'll build apartments, they'll build houses, duplexes, fourplexes, they'll build manufactured mobile home parks, they'll build all of that stuff if you just get the hell out of the way and stop locking up land within the urban growth boundary, for this one size fits all statewide land use planning, which is the only state in the country that has it.
I don't think so. I think California does.
I don't believe so.
I do believe so.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I've built in California.
You're going to make me Google it, aren't you?
Well, I would tell you to Google it because I believe California has land use planning.
Well, they have land use planning, but it's not a state edict.
Oh, that part I don't know. I don't know if it's a state edict or not.
Yeah. Well, unless California developed a state board or LCDC in just recent years, Oregon is the only first and only state, thanks to who's that governor that everybody so loves? Super progressive Republican. Tom
He was
McCall.
before my time here.
Yeah, Tom McCall. Thanks to him, we have this state land use planning plan that comes out of the state, and it goes out to all the counties, and the counties can't manage their own land.
You're absolutely right. And yesterday, you've heard me talk about here in Umatilla County, just a little side story about the we've asked our county, a group of people a small group of us asked our county commissioners to take Energy Facility Siting Council, FSEC, to the Supreme Court, because FSEC said in a project, energy project here cited by them in Umatilla County, FSEC said they don't have to follow the local land use ordinances. Nope, we don't have to. The agency says this project does not have to follow. Well, in fact, they do. And yesterday I watched. It was really nice to see the Supreme Court. I didn't have to drive over there. I could watch it live online, and you can watch it recorded. And Wendy Wellington did a very good job representing Umatilla County. And the two lawyers representing FSEC, one was way over her head. She was nervous. Her whole presentation was really bad. The second lawyer actually lied. And it was really, really interesting to watch that. And so lawyers, they give them about 30 minutes each side, and then there's the rebuttal. And Wendy did a fabulous rebuttal on this. And she said, you know what? If an agency, she kept talking about legislatures made this, and they did not forgive an agency from following the rules. And she says, and if the agency is saying this project doesn't have to follow the rules, then what do we have? any land use for. And that was it. She hammered it home, and I thought she did a fabulous job. And because an unelected bureaucratic agency that is all appointed by the governor is trying to override a county's ordinances that we are mandated to have.
Right. Yeah.
Right? We're mandated to have, and they can be stricter than the states. They can't be more lenient, but they can be stricter. And this will, if the Supreme Court does not side for Umatilla County, it will actually undo all of the land use across the state.
Right.
So we'll see. I'm hoping that they uphold it, but anyway. So there's on this article that I posted that is in Oregon Catalyst is the names of all the senators. And it says to call and email them, tell them no new taxes, be respectful, be kind. And it has all the phone numbers and email addresses of all of the House of Representatives in our state. So there you are. It gives you everything right in that link that I posted. And I'll tell you, we all need to do that.
Yeah.
No new taxes. And,
Taxed
so there we are.
already.
Yeah. Hey, we have some good news things. And so just real quick, a judge in California tells the school district to reinstate the teachers who refused to keep the students' gender identity secret. And that ruling came yesterday.
Nice.
And I'll tell you, this is a good thing because, of course, it goes back. A few teachers sued in September, and but it goes back a while in Escondido, California. And I'm really glad that the judge said, you know what, we've just reinstate the teachers. So that's
Good.
a win. That's a win. I'll take it.
Yep, we need them wherever we can get them.
We do. The House has approved a bill. We'll see where it goes, but they approved a bill to prevent Biden from scrapping the Buy American clause for electrical vehicle chargers, because he said, okay, you've got to have all these electric vehicles, 50% of them have got to be electric, all the new vehicle sales by 2030, but they've got to have all these chargers. And so it is a rule that they have to buy the American chargers. But he, of course, wants to get them from guess where? China and India.
Yeah, well, they're cheaper.
So the House
why
said,
don't Republicans in the House draft a bill to just outlaw the government from installing chargers? I mean, government doesn't install gas stations, right?
Right. You're exactly right.
The free
Why
market.
don't they just say we're not going to go with electric vehicles?
Or I mean, you can mandate electric vehicles if you want, but it's not the government's job to build gas stations for them.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. And at the taxpayer's dime.
I mean, the government, government doesn't build electrical generation stations. They don't build gas stations. They don't build refineries. They don't build, stuff to make anything. I mean, they build infrastructure. They build roads. But let the whole electric car charging enthusiasts build their own charging stations. They're expensive too.
Yeah, they are expensive. They are expensive.
The electrical service to those things are huge. I mean, I can run 17. I can probably do more than that. I can probably run 35, 40 greenhouses off of the same service that they use for a charging station.
Well, and you see these charging stations that have a diesel powered generator right next to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always so funny.
I know it is. I know it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, why don't they put a windmill right there instead of a diesel generator?
Yeah, we've seen that cartoon, I think, with it all frozen up, with the snow and the temperatures that we're getting over here in Northeast Oregon.
Yeah. Well, it keeps from overheating and burning up anyhow.
Yeah. So, Oregon Supreme Court has said we're not blocking Trump from the ballot. That's good
Yeah,
news.
that's good news. That's good news. That's so un-American. It's hard to even fathom that we're having the discussion, that it's even going to a
Yeah.
court. But good thing we have courts that are seeing it for what it is, which is election interference.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Some other really good news, I think. U.S. Representative Cliff Bentz, Congressman Cliff Bentz, he's my congressman in CD2.
Mine too, by the way.
And there you go. I'll tell you, CD2 is huge.
Yeah, well,
Huge.
I used to be in CD4 and redistricting. I'm now in CD2.
And that redistricting, well, that's a whole nother topic. It never should have crossed the Cascades. It's not supposed to. There's verbiage that it's not supposed to cross uh,
Yeah,
boundaries like that.
yeah,
A natural boundary like
yeah.
mountains.
Well, CD5 that I used to be in when I lived just north of Salem now goes into Bend.
Crazy. It's crazy. So anyway, what he did is he has endorsed Donald Trump for the 2024 Republican presidential candidate.
Good for him.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's great. And you know what? More people ought to do it. Lori Chavez Dreamer ought to do it as well.
I doubt that's going to happen.
Well, miracles happen, so we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was
Yeah,
really
Cliff's
good.
got a primary challenger too, as I understand it.
Yeah, he does. Do you know his challenger?
I don't know him personally. I don't believe I've ever met him.
I don't believe that I've ever met him either. I don't know anything about him.
Their campaign reached out to me a couple weeks ago, and I said that I'm not really doing anything in the primary, so I'm going to wait for the voters to choose choose who they want, and I will vote for that person.
Yeah.
Whoever, even if, of course, it's not going to happen now, but even if the Republican nominee was Chris Christie, I would vote for the damn Republican because I voted for McCain and Romney. What do you do?
I don't know. Well, yeah, Chris Christie, he's a non-starter for me. But anyway,
Yeah, but I mean,
I hear you.
if he gets the nomination, what do you do? Romney was a non-starter for me. McCain was a
Oh,
non-starter.
for sure. Oh, for sure. I'll
Actually,
tell you,
actually,
the
in
worst
2012,
Republican would be better than the Democrat. Look at what the heck we got.
in 2012, I actually voted for Ron Paul in the primary because
I can't vote for Nikki either.
no.
Nikki's a non-starter. She'll never make it anyway. Hey, so another, I don't know, I'm posting this right now. I don't know if you've all seen this. It is great. And it is the most hilarious meme about Joe Biden. And this was from PJ Media, but it is the White House senior living. And so if you have not seen this video, you have got to watch it. It's on YouTube. And so I put a link there that you can see it. And I'll tell you, it's really good.
Yeah, I remember being at the White House Christmas party when in the Trump White House, and I had mentioned, I think, to Karen or someone else that was there that it's too bad that this place will probably smell like a nursing home in another month or two.
Yeah. and and you're right.
Did you? I wish for whatever reason, I can't post post multimedia off of my personal account to this account. But on Twitter, I found it's another Biden meme, if you will. It was an interview with Barbara Streisand, and the interviewer asked, "What are you going to do if Trump is reelected?" And she goes on to explain that she just can't live in a country, with a, blah blah blah. But someone had taken digitally and put Joe Biden's face on her face. She still had the long scraggly hair and everything, and it was hilarious, and kind of Joe Biden the voice as well. Funny as hell. Yeah, that's the one thing I do like about the internet. You see some funny stuff on it.
Boy, don't you see some funny stuff. And that was really good. I saw that actually on Truth Social on Trump's page.
Oh, did you? You saw that
Yes,
one?
I
Oh,
did. I saw,
good, good.
well, no, not the one you were just talking about, but the senior White House senior living on Trump's Truth Social page. So I haven't seen the one you mentioned there, but yeah.
Yeah, as far as I know, Marjorie, Christine Drazen isn't running for anything. I know she opened up a new PAC, so she's apparently running for to raise money to. I'm not sure what she's going to do with it. I would imagine to support Republican candidates in Oregon.
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't either.
Nope.
Well, it's not surprising I haven't heard anything because I'm really out of the loop. I'm I'm uh, I'm far out of the loop. You're still closer into the loop than I am.
Yep, I am. I am in the loop, and but I haven't heard anything.
No, I haven't either.
Nope. There's anyway. So no, and I hope that she's helping some real Republicans, conservative Republicans, helping them get elected. We have the opportunity of picking up, holding Lori Chavez DeRemer's seat, uh, Cliff Bence's seat. Of course, that is an easy win. But picking up Eric, is it Eric Erickson?
CD6.
Yeah.
Andreas Salinas, is that her name?
So, we have a chance to actually send some more people to DC, which would be great, and having more Republican representation here in Oregon. So that would be fabulous. And that's where I think we need to, help candidates to get across the board, especially
Yeah.
those in winning seats, winnable seats to get across the board. So anyway.
Well, I had a call with the NRCC, and they think that CD4 is pick upable too. So Val Hoyle's in her first term. First term's always
Yeah.
the most vulnerable, which is why Lori is vulnerable because it's her first term. So we could conceivably pick up a couple of seats, which would just be amazing. I mean, that would be huge. It'd be a huge win for Republicans, a big loss for Democrats. But at least, I'm hoping that we see the House and the Senate swing a good ways to the right, and it would help do that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, Will Lathrop too, Lori. He's
Absolutely.
yeah, and that's an open seat, so he's got a decent shot. the only problem there, and I feel bad about it because I haven't done anything about it, is that dang registration disadvantage, which is almost insurmountable. So.
Yeah, but I hear you and I agree with that. But we Dennis Richardson did it.
Dennis Richardson did it. That's why I say it's almost insurmountable.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Democrats would rather have more law and order than not.
Yeah, and Willamette Week came out not too yesterday or today, I guess it was, and did some hits on Rayfield, who's going to be the Democrat candidate for Attorney General. So I forget exactly what it was about. Oh, that's right. It was actually Angela Todd, PDX Real, broke this today. So there is, and let's talk about that. That's a good thing to talk about. We got a couple minutes.
Okay.
So there is a section of the Department of Justice which is under the purview of the elected Attorney General. So an elected official has full purview over their department. And so under Rosenblum, there's a section of the DOJ which is funded and staffed to combat child trafficking, which according to a lot of people, they say that Oregon is the worst for that. And it wouldn't surprise me because we're the worst for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Well, um, the legislature, I think under Rayfield's, no, it wasn't Rayfield. So Rayfield, because he's running for AG, he's secretly, and they have 4 people. There's 4 people in this department. Washington has the same department in their justice, Department of Justice, and they have like 40 people. And their arrest and prosecution rate is like a factor of 10 more than Oregon. So there's this little 4 people, to combat this really serious problem in the state of Oregon. And so one of the people in the Justice Department diverted. They went to the legislature. They got more money for this, saying, it's for the kids. We're going to save the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And once they got the money from the legislature, they diverted it to another department. So Rayfield goes through the back channel to the governor and he says, hey, I'm running for AG. This is not a good look. Can you restore that money? And of course, Kotek's going, yeah, we better do that. Well, she hasn't done that yet. And Angela Todd, God bless her, revealed this whole thing before it happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's
Wow.
a whistleblower from the inside. So he's trying to, cover it up before it ever saw the light of day. And she brought it to the light of day. So there you have it. There's Rayfield. And that's who Will
Lathrop.
is running against.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Will Lathrop, that's one of his bailiwicks, quite frankly, because that's what he was doing over in Africa, working for a company, was about child trafficking and prosecuting them. And he had a bunch of, I don't know, like 30 people under him,
Yeah.
a team that he put together.
The
This
state
is
has 4.
Yeah, 4. That's why there's nothing getting done in the
Yeah.
state of Oregon.
Yeah. Well, that's why traffickers come
Wow.
here.
Yes.
They
No
come here
kidding.
because they know there's no resources spent on it. That's why drug distributors and traffickers come here, because they know there's no resources spent on it. That's why those who are in the country illegally come here, because they know there are no resources spent on getting rid of them. It's like the state of Oregon has been completely bought up by cartels and organized crime, because they just keep passing these policies and promulgating these policies and defunding the policies that would hurt organized crime and drug traffickers. And they keep these policies that help them. And we keep seeing it. And it just makes me wonder, in light of the whole Lamotta thing, it makes me wonder how many bags of cash are floating around the legislature to get these kind of sweetheart things for cartels and child traffickers. Human traffickers as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I'm glad we have whistleblowers, people that are doing investigative journalism, and looking for things that are wrong and then exposing it, because that's what we have to do, and that's what we have to, bring these things out. And
yeah, if you're not following PDX Real on Instagram, you really should, because she's having a huge impact.
great.
So I talked with her this morning about it, and she has good instincts, and she's developed a very large network of people who feed her information from the inside. And
When you
she's
don't divulge your sources, you will build insiders.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's doing stuff that a lot of other efforts, particularly in the Portland metro area. She's in Portland. Have just never been able to really make an impact. And she breaking this story. Who would have known?
Right.
I imagine someone's going to write a story about it, unless they all get the call from the governor's office going, shh, no stories. Which, I don't know if people in the audience that would, watching the show know that there are regularly calls from the governor's office to the Oregonian, to Willamette Week, to the Tribune, saying, don't run these stories.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
A lot of pressure there.
a lot of pressure there. And if these, and the same thing with, KTU, KGW, KOIN, they get the same calls, and the radio stations get the same calls. And if they don't heed those calls, they get denied access. Uh,
Yeah.
because access, the ability to attend their press availabilities, is what they call them now, and get information and interview and all that stuff is the currency of quote journalism, unquote.
Yeah.
Uh, they do it all for access, and Angela's not subject to that. And consequently, in talking with her, she has pretty damn good access, because there's a lot of politicians who don't want to get on her bad side. So,
Well, good. Good. So I'm not on Instagram, but I see like Pam says on Twitter, or formerly X, on X.
yeah, she's actually her husband, significant other, I'm not sure who, Jeff, runs the Twitter account, but it's her content that's on Instagram as well. And but she does she does a regular series of videos on Instagram, so highly recommend following her on there, and get the full experience, especially if you live in or around Portland.
There you go. There you go. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us, David.
You're welcome. Thank Angela.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, did we beat it up enough for Friday night? Is it time
We
to
sure
go out
did.
and
We
fire up
sure
your
did.
snowblower again, or are you done with the snow for a while?
Oh no, I'm stunned. I'm done for now. We'll see what I wake up to tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to have snow. I have to look again at the weather. I just know that we're going to be like -3 or 4 degrees.
The snow's not going anywhere for a while.
No, and it is dry. It is powdery, and I'm glad about. Yeah, it's supposed to be -4 here at our house right now tonight. And yeah, it's darn cold. It's a chilly willy out there.
Yeah, that's cold. That's
But
cold.
with the right gear, I was all bundled up and right gear, doing a little work out there. I wasn't
Yeah.
cold. Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Have a great weekend.
Yep. Share the message. We'll
All
be
right.
back on Monday night.
Yes, we will. Martin Luther King Day, who was a
Yes.
Republican, by the way.
Yes.
Good